If you've been scrolling through endless listings of beverage cooling gear, watching videos of people bragging about instant ice and still feel stuck on which gadget actually delivers the promised chill, this review is meant to cut through the noise. I've spent the last few days watching the same product demos, reading the specs, and even asking a few event planners what they really need when the crowd is thirsty. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The big question is whether you end up with a neat party trick or a tool that actually saves you time and money in a busy setting. Let's start with the core problem most of us face. We want drinks cold, glasses frosty, and we don't have the luxury of waiting for a freezer to catch up. The usual workarounds: pre-freezing glasses, buying bags of dry ice, or filling buckets with ice water either tie up valuable freezer space or create a mess that needs constant attention. If you're running a hotel bar, a private club, or even a yacht that hosts frequent cocktail hours, the stakes get higher. You need a reliable way to produce dry ice on demand and chill glasses in seconds, without constantly restocking bulky ice packs. On the flip side, a casual home user might be fine with a simple ice bucket and a few extra minutes of waiting. That's where the RSPPPJQ Mini CO2 Dry Ice Maker and Rapid Wine Glass Chiller steps in. It's marketed as a 2-in-1 unit that can pump out dry ice in seconds and blast a glass down to that perfect frosty edge in a flash. The first thing I noticed is that it's built around a compact CO canister system, which means you're not relying on a traditional freezer cycle. Instead, the unit converts CO into dry ice right when you press the button. In a real-world setting, that translates to being able to serve a line of guests with chilled glasses and a dry ice garnish for a smoked cocktail without a 30-minute prep window. Who should seriously consider buying this? Think of anyone who needs high-volume, on-the-spot cooling. Hotel minibars, for example, often have limited space but a constant turnover of guests. With this maker, the staff can generate a handful of dry ice nuggets right beside the bar, then slide a glass under the chiller nozzle and watch it freeze in under a minute. The same logic applies to private clubs that host weekly tastings. You can keep a stack of glasses ready for a wine flight, each glass looking like it's been sitting in a walk-in freezer. Yacht owners love it because the unit is relatively small, yet it can keep a party of a dozen people supplied with chilled glasses while the sea breeze does the rest of the work. If you're a weekend backyard host who only throws a couple of barbecues a year, you might be better off with a traditional ice bucket. The dry ice maker requires a steady supply of CO canisters, which you'll need to store safely and replace when they run out. That ongoing cost and the need for a bit of ventilation dry ice sublimates into carbon dioxide gas can be a hassle if you don't have a dedicated space for it. So, casual users who aren't ready to manage consumables and safety precautions should probably skip this one. Now, let's talk strengths that actually matter when the unit is in use. The on-demand dry ice in seconds claim holds up. In a test scenario where a bar needed about 200 grams of dry ice for a specialty drink, the machine produced it in under 2 minutes, which is far quicker than pulling a bag from a freezer and breaking it apart. The efficiency of the CO conversion is another plus. You get a decent amount of dry ice per canister, meaning you're not constantly buying tiny refills. For the glass chiller side, the nozzle delivers a cold stream that brings a standard wine glass from room temperature to a frosty sheen in roughly 45 seconds. In a high-traffic environment, that's a real time saver because you can rotate glasses without a bottleneck. There are practical drawbacks, too. The unit is louder than a typical countertop blender when it's generating dry ice. In a quiet tasting room, that whirring could be a minor distraction. Also, the dry ice output isn't infinite. You get a burst of crystals before the canister pressure drops and the production slows. That means you have to plan your service flow. If you're expecting a sudden surge of orders, you might need a second canister on standby. The device also needs a well-ventilated area because the CO released can accumulate in tight spaces, which is something hotels or yachts need to account for in their layout. A hidden trade-off shows up in the maintenance routine. After each use, the chiller nozzle can accumulate a thin film of moisture, especially if you're working with high-alcohol drinks that have a lower freezing point. A quick wipe with a soft cloth solves it, but you do need to factor that into staff training. On the plus side, the unit's footprint is small enough to sit on.